That's a song called Mine Again that I co-wrote and co-produced with the legend Mariah Carey. Back in 2004, I get a call from a Randy Jackson. I didn't know Randy at that time. Um, since then, we've gone on to become good friends, and he's a mentor of mine. Uh, Randy called me up and was like, "Hey, would you like to come to New York and write with Mariah?" And of course, I said, "Nah, I'm cool." Yeah, right. You tripping? Of course, I said, "Absolutely." Jumped on the next train and went to the studio. Of course, I go in the studio and I had all my gear with me, set it up, laptop, interface. I rented some keyboards to make sure that the piano was mic'd up. So, I was there waiting for a little bit. Not too long. She's a diva, so but she was, a little bit of time. So I'm in the piano room messing around, and I just happen to look through the glass into the control room, and I just see like a bustle of energy and just massive people just rolling. It was like just like a whirlwind of people just rolling in, and managers and friends and probably hair and makeup people, whatever, whatever. So you know, I get a little nervous. It's Mariah. You hear, oh, she's a diva stories. And rightfully so. She's one of the greatest artists of of all time, not female artist period of all time. So straighten up and walk out, and introduce myself, and she's mad cool. She was extremely cool. So everybody clears out, and I say, "Oh, love, what you want to do?" And I'm walking over to my computer. She's like, "No, let's go in the piano room. Just sit at the piano. I like to write at the piano." Cool. Me too. Cool. This is perfect. So I sit at the piano. She pulls a chair and sits right next to me, and we just start playing some stuff. I start playing through some things on piano, and she's singing some things, and it's a bit of give and take. She's like directing me this way melodically, and I'm playing some things, and it's a bit of give and take. She knew exactly what she wanted, and I found out after the fact that that's the way she does everything with all of her albums. She knows pretty much what each song is going to be, and she has an idea for it, and she'll direct you accordingly. So cool. We have an idea. I record the idea. Um, we messed around with a few other ideas, and it was like, all right, cool. She was like, all right, so let's definitely get back up again and finish this thing off. It's like, cool. Thank you so much. Again, she was the nicest person, the nicest person. So a few weeks later, I get a call again from Randy, and he's like, "Hey, James, we're up in New York cutting some of the stuff from Orion with this live band. Um, you want to come up and possibly use the same players?" And I was like, "Okay, who's playing?" He said, Randy was like, "I'm playing bass." I was like, that can absolutely work. And he said, "Charlie Drayton is on drums." Woo! Charlie Drayton, been a big fan of his for years, so I was a little geek to be able to finally meet him and actually play with him. And he said, "Jeff Lee Johnson is on guitar." Jeff Lee, that's like my big brother. I've known Jeff for years. He's a he's a music legend, one of the greatest guitar players of all time. I was, he, I always say Jeff taught me how to be funky, because I would bug him. I was like this little brother that would call him up all the time and go over his house and listen to records and watch him play, and he'd be like, "No, do it like this and listen to this," and I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." Unfortunately, a few years ago, Jeff was going on. Um, yeah, that's Jeff was my guy. I I love him dearly, and I thank him for all the lessons. And you know, Jeff Lee. We toured together with D'Angelo. He was. I just remembered that he was that guy. Anyway, so we go to the session. Everybody sets up. We're in the room, all in the room together, and I sort of had an idea of how the song. how I wanted the song to sound. And we started messing with it. It's not necessarily working the way I thought it should go. But I've learned in my many years of of being a musician that sometimes what you plan isn't it. Let the synergy of the guys work. There's a divine spark that happens when you in a bunch with a bunch of dudes that know what they're doing, and if everybody is paying attention and playing but listening, you gotta listen. You listening, yeah, the right thing is gonna happen. So we're playing, and the right thing happened. Boom, and the track was there. Perfect. Boom. We cut that track, and they went on to cut some other things, and Mariah took those tracks, and I think she might have cut her vocals. I don't know, in coast of Italy, or she had a beach house in Jupiter. I don't know, but she went and cut her vocals, and then I get another call from Randy like, "Hey, so we're putting horns on some of this stuff. What do you think about putting horns on your songs?" Like, I absolutely wanted to do that. He said, "Well, let's come to New York." Come to New York, boom, horn section in there, and I was like, "Okay, I got to get this arrangement together." Sort of had an idea of the arrangement, and she was like, "No, I just want to sing the parts to them." Okay, cool. So she would sing the stuff to me, and I would walk in the room and sort of translate it into music talk. We didn't even write anything down, and it worked out perfectly. Boom, and the song was there. It was a blessing to be able to work with her. And she called me back a couple times. I actually did a song called "I Wish You Well" off of the E equals MC squared album. Yeah, it wasn't as churchy as that, but yeah. It was the piano battle, just me and her. I actually flew down to St. Martin to work with her. She was down there chilling. She's Mariah Carey. So I go to St. Martin, and we wrote that song. I actually stayed at the hotel right next door to the airport, that famous beach where the lunatics stand behind the jet engines of the planes and they blow them into the water. Yeah, I sat out there and watched that happen. I wasn't dumb enough to go out there. I was just watching. You an idiot. Anyway, so we did that song, and then I went to L.A. and wrote "When Christmas Comes" with her, a song that she did with John Legend. Not that church. Uh, yeah, "When Christmas Comes," flew to L.A. We wrote the song, and had a crack team of L.A. cats that I worked with. Maybe 2 days later, that we actually tracked it all out. My man Nissan Stewart on drums, Jubu, whew, Jubu on guitar, yeah, and yeah. So yeah, I had the privilege to work with one of the greatest artists of all time. Did a few songs, and where you at, Mariah? You gonna call me back? Let's do some more joints.